There's a cruel irony that shadows the life of intelligent men. The smarter he becomes, the lonelier his victories feel, and the more disappointed the women who once adored him become. Because intelligence, real intelligence, doesn't glow like charm. It burns quietly, in the corners of thought no one else dares to visit. It's the kind of light that doesn't flatter, it exposes. Kierkegaard understood this tragedy better than most. He called it the sickness unto death, the endless struggle between who we are and who the world demands we pretend to be. And when a man starts to live by truth instead of illusion, he becomes something both fascinating and unbearable. Women fall in love with his mind, but quickly discover that his mind is a battlefield. He's not looking for pleasure, he's looking for meaning, and meaning has a cost. At first, his depth feels intoxicating. He listens differently. He speaks with intent. His silence feels like a language of its own. But soon, that same silence begins to terrify her, because it's not born from mystery, it's born from conflict. Inside his mind, he's dissecting everything, even love itself. He studies his own emotions until they stop moving. He questions affection until it fades. And what woman can compete with a man's thoughts when even he can't keep up with them? Intelligence makes him self-aware, but self-awareness kills spontaneity. He cannot unsee what he sees. Every moment becomes analysis, every gesture a question, every confession a hypothesis. While other men live inside the illusion of love, he's standing outside studying it through glass. Women don't fall for intelligence because they understand it. They fall for how it makes them feel, seen, rare, chosen. But the intelligent man doesn't stay in that fantasy for long. He begins to notice patterns, cycles, contradictions. He sees her affection rise when he's distant, fade when he's close, return when he withdraws. And that knowledge poisons him. Because once a man sees love's machinery, it's hard to feel its magic. Kierkegaard wrote that the greatest danger is losing oneself while seeming to be oneself. And that's what happens to intelligent men. They perform normality, but inside they're fracturing. They play the lover, but their mind is in exile. He wants to give her his heart, but his intellect keeps demanding evidence. She feels that hesitation, even when he says nothing. It's the quiet doubt that lives behind his eyes that makes her uneasy. She'll never admit it, but she starts to resent him for seeing her too clearly. The intelligent man doesn't lose women because he fails to love. He loses them because he can't lie convincingly enough to keep love simple. His perception turns intimacy into a mirror too sharp to look into. He notices every contradiction in her words, every small inconsistency between affection and intention. He doesn't confront it at first. He just stores it. And she feels it, the slow erosion of her power, the way his gaze becomes less romantic, more reflective. He stops reacting emotionally and starts predicting outcomes. That's the moment the magic dies for her. She realizes she can't manipulate him with emotion because he sees through its architecture. His calmness becomes infuriating. His restraint feels like rejection. What she once admired now threatens her sense of control. And so, she begins to pull away, not because he's cruel, but because he's unshakable. The tragedy is that his intelligence isolates him even in love. He wants connection, but not illusion. He wants devotion, but not dependency. He wants truth, but truth is rarely beautiful. Most people want reassurance, not reality. And when a man offers reality instead of comfort, they call him cold. Kierkegaard wrote that the crowd is untruth, but love itself is a crowd of untruths, tiny deceptions we agree to believe for the sake of warmth. The intelligent man struggles with that agreement. His mind won't stop reminding him that every I love you is also an I need you, that every promise is a bet against human nature. So while others fall freely, he calculates the gravity of the fall. He hesitates, and hesitation in love feels like betrayal. She'll call him distant, overthinker, complicated, but what she really means is this: he doesn't play by the emotional script she's memorized. He doesn't fight when she provokes him. He doesn't panic when she withdraws. He doesn't beg when she's cold. He watches patterns instead of reacting to them, and that's unbearable for someone who finds meaning in emotional control. The intelligent man's calmness destroys her leverage. His detachment turns her affection into curiosity, and then into frustration. She begins to test him, trying to awaken the fire she once felt. But he doesn't burn the same way anymore, because once a man understands the temporary nature of emotional highs, he stops chasing them. He's not addicted to the rush anymore. He's addicted to peace. And peace, to most women, feels like boredom. That's why intelligent men often end up alone. Not because they can't love, but because they've seen through the performance that love requires. They understand that to be adored, a man must pretend. He must make himself partially blind, partially foolish, partially dependent. But the intelligent man refuses to trade awareness for affection. He wants both truth and tenderness, but in this world, they rarely coexist. So he becomes what Kierkegaard would call a knight of resignation, a man who loves deeply but silently, who gives without demanding, who endures without applause. And in a world addicted to noise, that kind of love goes unnoticed. He starts to sense it slowly, in the silence between her words, in the way her laughter feels rehearsed now, in the way her eyes search for something she used to find in him but can't anymore. He knows what's coming long before it happens, because intelligence doesn't just see the present, it predicts the future. That's its curse. He can already feel the moment she'll drift away, not out of anger, but out of restlessness. She'll call it emotional distance, incompatibility, lack of spark, anything but what it truly is, the exhaustion of being seen. Because deep down, no woman wants to be understood completely. Mystery is her currency. Once she realizes he's decoded her patterns, she loses her sense of power. And no woman stays where she feels powerless. The intelligent man feels the shift and doesn't chase, not out of pride, but out of acceptance. Kierkegaard wrote that anxiety is the dizziness of freedom, and that's what he feels now, the dizzying awareness that he's free to walk away but bound to remember. He could fight for her, he could plead his case, but he knows the truth. Love built on illusion can't survive clarity. He's learned that affection isn't lost in betrayal, it's lost in overexposure. When she's seen his mind too clearly, when she knows he's capable of surviving without her, when she realizes his peace doesn't depend on her validation, something in her admiration breaks. The very intelligence that drew her in now threatens her significance. She can't play savior to a man who doesn't need saving. This is where most intelligent men collapse, not under heartbreak, but under the weight of understanding. They don't rage or beg or lash out. They just descend into analysis. They walk through every conversation in their memory, decoding tone, context, silence. They map the emotional terrain of their loss like scientists examining wreckage. And in that dissection, they kill what remains of love. They turn the emotional into the intellectual, because feeling it raw would mean chaos. But reason cannot bury pain, it only delays it. Kierkegaard called this despair, when the self turns against itself for being too self-aware. The intelligent man becomes his own executioner. He cannot stop thinking, and so he cannot start healing. Women often mistake his calm for apathy. They don't see the war inside him, the arguments he has with his own heart at 3 a.m, the way he rehearses detachment just to feel in control, the way his silence is not emptiness, but effort. He's fighting not to collapse into bitterness, because bitterness is easy. Understanding is harder, and he understands too much. He knows she didn't mean to hurt him. He knows she left because she was chasing a feeling he couldn't give her anymore. He knows she's not cruel, she's just human. But knowing doesn't comfort him, it condemns him to empathy. He feels sorry for her even as she breaks him. That's the real punishment of intelligence. It makes you compassionate toward the very pain that destroys you. So he buries it. He pours himself into work, ideas, creation. He rebuilds his solitude like a cathedral, one brick of reason at a time, and in that stillness, something shifts. He realizes that disappointment is not a curse, it's a test. It's the world asking him, can you love without illusion? Can you care without control? Kierkegaard believed that true faith begins where reason ends. And maybe that's what intelligent men must learn, not to stop thinking, but to stop believing that everything can be understood. Because love isn't a problem to solve, it's a paradox to endure. The more he tries to explain it, the more it slips through logic's fingers. Eventually he stops trying. He lets silence do the speaking. He learns to sit with uncertainty, with longing, with the knowledge that not all questions have answers. And that's when his strength begins to return. Not the kind of strength that seeks revenge or validation, but the quiet strength of acceptance. He realizes that intelligence can protect a man from many things, failure, deception, mediocrity, but not from pain. Pain is the tuition of wisdom. You can't think your way around it. You can only walk through it. And when he finally walks through it, when he stops asking why she left and starts asking what it taught him, he discovers something he never expected. Peace that doesn't depend on anyone's presence. That peace changes him. His tone softens. His eyes grow calmer. He stops seeking to impress or be understood. His words become fewer, but heavier. And that's when the world begins to feel him again. The same women who once left start to look back, not because they miss his love, but because they finally understand what it meant.